Banger after banger.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Big Hero Chris back at you with another one. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe, leave me a thumbs up, ring the notification bell, hit me up on Twitter, TikTok, the community post, man. You already know the vibes. And it's time for that good old NXT review. And you know, a lot happened, as it always does on, NXT. We had injuries and beatdowns and mops and blood and, gambling. A whole lot going on. But let's go ahead and get into it. And it started off with a match between Tiffany Stratton and Fallon Henley. And one of the big stories of this episode of NXT was the fact that Fallon Henley and Tiffany Stratton do not like each other. They downright hate each other, man. They had their match. Fallon Henley ended up getting the win, but Tiffany Stratton didn't really like this too much. So after the match, she ended up attacking Fallon Henley, drug her all the way to the backstage area and started beating her with like trash and tables. She even hit her with a mop. Perry Saturn's old friend Moppy made its triumphant return to WWE television, man. I was happy to see Moppy, but not under these conditions. So, throughout the night, you see Fallon Henley talking to Briggs and Jensen, and she's like, listen, I want Tiffany Stratton. I want to get my hands on her. I can't stand this lady. I hate her. And even later than that, you had Tiffany Stratton challenge Fallon Henley to a match for, I think it was either next week or at a New Year's Evil. And the condition is, if Tiffany Stratton beats Fallon Henley, Fallon Henley has to be Tiffany Stratton's servant. And I'm like, hey, yo. So it's going to be interesting to see how this turns out, if Tiffany Stratton can make Fallon Henley her servant. We'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But speaking of Briggs and Jensen, Josh Briggs, he made the challenge last week to Noam Dar for the Heritage Cup Championship, and Noam Dar and the Metaphor ended up accepting the challenge. And you had Jensen telling Briggs, he was like, yo, man, next week's the week, man. You're going to do it. You're going to get that Heritage Championship. I'm going to be in your corner. And Fallon's going to be in your corner. And Briggs is like, I should do this on my own. And I'm at home like, no, you should absolutely not do this on your own, because the Metaphor is going to be out there with Noam Dar. And it's like 3 people. And they've been known to, run interference during these matches. So you're going to need all the help you can get. So I don't really understand why Josh Briggs was like, I should probably do this by myself. No, you shouldn't. You should absolutely not do this by yourself. But we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens if Josh Briggs can overcome the odds and beat Noam Dar. I'm pretty sure he won't, but we'll cross that road when we get to it. As far as the rest of the NXT, we had more drama between Trick Mello gang. You had Trick and Mello talking to each other, and Carmelo was like, listen, man, I'm sorry about accidentally hitting you in the face with the championship. And Trick, he's not tripping about it, but Carmelo, he's guilty. He's guilty. He's proven to be more and more guilty each and every week, because this week he proposed, instead of it being a one-on-one match for the NXT Championship between Trick and Ilja, Carmelo was like, yo, man, it should be a triple threat match so Melo can have his back, you know what I'm saying? And Trick's like, listen, I appreciate it, big bro, but every NXT championship you won, man, you did it by yourself. You did it on your own. And I kind of want to do that for myself. I don't really need you in my corner. I want you to help me train, but this whole triple threat match, man, I ain't really for it. So, Carmelo was like, yeah, all right, cool. But he's guilty. He did it. He knows what he did. Speaking of the NXT Championship, you had Ilja Dragunov, come out, and he's confused as to why he's in the middle of this Trick Mello gang drama. He wants no parts of it. He just wants to go out and wrestle and beat people up and defend his championship. But then, to the surprise of the NXT universe as well as myself, you had Ridge Holland show up. And he's all like, listen, he came back to NXT for, a little bit of redemption. He's trying to get back on the winning track. He's been with the Brawling Brutes, but things haven't been working out for Ridge the Fridge, He's been known to injure people from time to time, whether it's Pretty Deadly or Big E or, you know, whoever. So he's back to NXT. He wants a shot at the NXT Championship, but he doesn't want to give it to him. He wants to, you know, earn it and find his way through the ranks and find his way through the roster. And, you know, Trick Williams gets a hold of this, and he's pressing Ilja Dragunov like, yo, what's up? What's really good, man? It's supposed to be you and me for the championship. And he was like, listen, little bro, I'm the champion, so I can do whatever I want. And Carmelo was like, see, man, it should have been a triple threat match. So we're just gonna go ahead and fast forward to the main event. And spoiler alert, this episode of NXT was taped last week, so the news broke that Ilja Dragunov was injured. And it was like, yo, is this serious? Is this real? And then you found out that Rich Holland is the one who did it. It's like everyone was like anti-Rich Holland yet again. But, you know, it's part of a storyline. What the storyline is, I don't know. Or whether it being, you know, Rich being an unsafe worker or whatever, I don't know. But the match was fine for what it was worth until it got to the injury spot. Rich hit Ilja with, I think it was like a brain buster, and that's where the injury happened. So, you know, we'll see how this ties into, you know, New Year's Evil and Trick Williams championship match, as well as, you know, Carmelo, you know, trying to weasel his way into that championship match. So we'll see. So maybe I think it might end up being, you know, Trick, you know, fighting for the championship, and Carmelo was like, listen, since Ilja can't wrestle, maybe, you know, I wrestle, you know, Trick for the championship, or, you know, who knows? We'll have to wait and see, but, you know, yeah. So now we have more action for the NXT Breakout Tournament. And the thing that's making me, you know, happy about this tournament is the fact that you have these upstarts, these rookies, more or less. They have their gimmicks. Like, you have, what's his name? Dion Lennox. And his gimmick is he wears glasses, but once he takes these glasses off, he's very intense. You have a lawyer in the mix, you know. You have a dude that is a suplex merchant. And then, of course, you have Lexus King. So the first match of the night was Lexus King taking on Dion Lennox and his glasses. And I gotta say, as far as Dion Lennox goes, he kind of reminds me of Jason Jordan by the way he moves and the way his suplexes and everything. Lexus King ended up getting the win, so he's advancing to the Final Four. And then on the other end, you have, I'm about to mess this dude's name all the way up, Luca Crucifino, who's a lawyer, taking on Tavion Heights, who's a suplex merchant. And this was a quick match, but it was fun. And I kind of like the whole lawyer gimmick. I don't know why. Like, it's goofy, but I like it. I don't know. But Tavion Heights ended up getting the win. So in the Final Four, it is going to be Tavion Heights taking on Obafemi and Brute Force, taking on Lexus King, and I'm blanking on the other dude's name. I apologize. I think it's going to come down to Lexus King and Obafemi. NXT Underground is back. Eddie Thorpe laid out the challenge to Dijak that I think is going to be next week. It's going to be an NXT Underground match, going back to the good old days of Raw Underground when it was just like a underground fight pit or whatever. So that should be interesting. You know, you had Eddie Thorpe talking, and then you had Dijak talking. So it's going to be official. NXT Underground, I can't wait. So now we have a tag team match. We have JC Jane and Thea Hill taking on Kiana James and Izzy Dame. And, you know, Izzy Dame ended up getting the win for her team, you know. I'm going to be honest with you. I kind of nodded off a little bit. Not because I was bored, not because they were women, but because I had to work today and I didn't really get my after work nap in, so it is what it is. I woke up in time to see the aftermath. Izzy Dame ended up getting the win. And then after the match, you cut to backstage. Roxanne Perez is looking at this match, and she wants revenge. She wants to get her hands on Kiana James. And then we have the queen of NXT, Ariana Grace, you know, saying words of inspiration that Roxanne Perez, I know she's blinded by the anger and the hatred, and she wasn't really receptive of not Kiana James, but Ariana Grace's words of wisdom. And Ariana Grace ended up getting slapped for her trouble. So next week, it's going to be Roxanne Perez taking on Ariana Grace, the queen of NXT. Speaking of Chase U, man, Thea Hill and JC Jane weren't having a good night. Andre Chase wasn't having a good night either, man. He's losing his money. He's gambling. You know, his gambling problem is getting worse and worse by the day. Poor Andre Chase, he's out here gambling OTM. And you know, Andre Chase put his money or lack of money where his mouth was. He ended up challenging OTM to a tag team match next week, and if OTM wins, they get a shot at the tag team championships against the D'Angelo family. But if Chase U wins, they get their debts solved or whatever. I guess, I don't know. All their debt goes away. I wish I could lump my student loans into this, so you know, I don't have to pay student loans anymore. I don't know if that's how it works, but you know, that's what's going down next week. And what was supposed to be a one-on-one match between Dragon Lee and Charlie Dempsey turned into a triple threat match. Joe Coffey ended up adding himself to the mix and turned it into a triple threat match. And I'm like, I don't really care too much for Gallus, but this match was pretty fun because, you know, all the dudes involved are really awesome, super great wrestlers. Even if you had, you know, Joe Gacy, you know, being weird and hiding under the ring and dragging Joe Coffey straight to hell or under the ring or whatever, you know, it was still a fine match. Dragon Lee ended up getting the win. And, you know, after the match, you had the, what did they call the quarter catch Orlando Blackpool Combat Club. I don't know what the fuck they're called, but they're jumping Dragon Lee after the match. But you had the LWO come through make the save. So, you know, it's always good to see the LWO minus Santos Escobar. So, you know, that's always cool. Speaking of Gallus, we had a tag team match between the other Gallus dudes taking on Hank and Tank. And this was a short match, but Gallus ended up getting the win, you know, making up for the fact that, you know, Joe Coffey is, you know, paranoid and scared of Joe Gacy. And Joe Gacy, for whatever reason, has this weird infatuation for Joe Coffey. I don't know what he has going on with Gallus or whatever, but, you know, Joe Gacy is just weird, so, you know, he's just going to continue to be weird. Alright, and the last thing I want to talk about is, you know, it's kind of like a two-part thing. So first you had a video package for Lyra Valkyria and Blair Davenport, you know, hyping up their match at New Year's Evil. It was a pretty solid video package. You know, WWE has the best promos and video packages in all the land. And this led to, you know, Lyra Valkyria in the back, you know, looking at the television from that weird angle that wrestlers do. And then you had Nikkita Lyons pull up, and she's like, listen, I don't know what's going on with Tatum Paxley, but I'm going to handle her for you. And after that, I'm coming for the NXT Women's Championship. So, you know, there's that. And this led us into Tatum Paxley versus Nikkita Lyons. And, you know, it was okay. It was okay. It was an okay match. Somehow, some way, Tatum Paxley, her nose was bleeding, or I couldn't tell if it was her nose or her mouth. Nikkita Lyons punched her in the face, and she got a bloody face for it. So, you know, Nikkita Lyons ended up getting the win with that that kick she does, and that pin that everyone loves, myself included, loves very much. You know, it's a very unique pin. It's remarkable. It's unique. It gets the people going. So yeah, man, there's that. So yeah, that was pretty much NXT in a nutshell. Pretty solid show, even though it was taped. You know, it was still fun. Hyping up New Year's Evil, hyping up the show next week. You know, the last two shows of the new year, or of 2023 before we go into the new year. No, wait, no, I'm lying. Next week's show is going to be the last show before we get into the new year. So, you know, a pretty solid year for NXT, man. Fun, entertaining episodes, fun, entertaining wrestling. Fun gimmicks, you know. It's developmental, but, you know, it's cool to see how these talents grow and develop over time, especially with the Breakout Tournament, you know. People with glasses and lawyers, and, you know, it's cool. It's all good for me. I love NXT. It gets the honorary W. But with that being said, guys, what did you think of this week's episode of NXT? Do you think Carmelo Hayes is guilty? Can we help Andre Chase with his gambling problem? I don't know. Let me know in the comment section below. Of course, as always, like, comment, and subscribe. You guys take care. Bees. I'm out. Peace.